So I guess we'll begin here. I'm wondering just a brief background about you. Number one, like, are you from Canada originally, or?
Yes, I am. I was born in Canada.
Okay, can you briefly tell me a little background about I'm assuming the Black Canadian experience, because I'm from America. I'm just curious, like, what's that like, and how did you, like, were you a descendant of a family that moved there? At what point, like, how did that work?
I am a descendant of Caribbean parents
Hmm.
that came here in the 60s. And I was born in the 70s, and I grew up in like a small kind of city close outside of Toronto, like an hour outside of Toronto. And it's when I was growing up in school, there wasn't many Black people in the city. Like, it was a small Black community. A lot of us were Caribbeans. A small percentage of us were Africans.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you were going to school, like when I would attend school, they would put one Black person per class. So like each class, they would allow one Black person to a class. So when you're growing up, you kind of like, you feel alone, you feel isolated, you're trying hard to fit in, but then you can't fit in because...
I'm sorry, why is that? Why is that? Is that some kind of policy? I don't understand. Is that like a policy they had to do that? It's kind of strange.
I don't understand why they did it, but they had one Black person per classroom. And so if you look at other people's school pictures, everybody's school pictures has that one Black person in the class. I don't know why they did it.
I mean, was there so few of you that they tried to spread you out, or 'cause I can imagine if there's a lot. I mean, if there's a lot of Black people in an area, how are they going to do that? I mean, what do they do then, or is it just a specific thing in your school that you went to because of the small population of?
I don't know. It's possible that it was so few. It was so few of us at one time.
Mm-hmm.
But then it started to pick up, and they had no choice but to add like another Black. You'd have like one Indian person in your class,
Mm-hmm.
a Black person in your class,
Mm-hmm.
and one Asian in your class, and then the rest of them would be white people.
And how far would they go to make that? Was it a policy like statewide or school wide, or how far would they go to make that happen? You know what I'm trying to say? Would they make you change, a school or something like that? Like, I don't get it. Like districts or something, or what?
No, I at that time I had no clue. I don't know what was going on because I was young, right? So I'm just there, and I just noticed that as I started to get to know other Black kids,
Mm-hmm.
we all would we would play outside in the beginning, and then we'd all have to separate. And I don't think it was a good thing for us, but we all had to separate to go to our own classes. And to the point where when other Black kids would come to the school and they had no choice but to add another Black student to a class, they didn't seem to like too much of us gathering together.
Gotcha. And this is at a young age. What grade were you, out of curiosity?
This was probably between grade 1 and grade 5.
Gotcha.
Because when I got to grade 5, there was more Africans coming into the city. And
from where, if I may ask? Where? From where? Yeah.
From Africa, Ghana, or
gotcha.
Ethiopia and
Gotcha.
stuff. But so it got more populated. So then we got to be able to socialize with other people of color, other kids of color.
Gotcha.
Outside of the classroom,
And how was that? You guys got along pretty well, I take it, or what?
Yeah, it was good. I could say that I was familiar with Africans. I was familiar with Indian kids, and I had white friends at the time too. But there was a problem where when you would start to hang out with other Black kids,
mm-hmm.
but the white kids would be upset because they're thinking, "Oh, you're my friend," It's
Oh, they really wanted you to be their friend, huh?
Yeah, well, that's how it was. Like, it's kind of weird, but
no, I hear you though. It's probably, it could just be an innocent type thing, you know. But you know, at the same time,
yeah.
it is little, you know. But I get it, you know.
But
Sometimes if you're different, you're popular at that age, you know.
I also went through a lot of hell too because I was called a lot of like names in class. Like they used to call me like what did they call me? Black Paki. And I used to like, why are you calling me Black Paki? I'm not a Paki.
Oh, like a Pakistani?
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Why? Would you look Pakistani or what?
Well, I don't feel that I do look like there may be that in my, like, I've heard people say, like, my dad has said that there is that in my lineage.
No, I hear you, yeah.
But, but I have, like, I don't have any Pakistani hair or anything like that, so I didn't understand. I was thinking maybe it's my complexion.
Mm-hmm.
What they would do, but they would say, like, they used to make fun of me a lot because, like, depending on what I would wear to school, because my parents weren't rich.
Yep.
And I got a lot of teasing for, like, how come your hands are white but your skin is black, it's brown? Like, questions like that all the time.
That's a classic, though. Yeah, that's a classic one. I love that one. You know, as you get older, this stuff becomes funny. But no, I hear you. I hear you.
Why is that? Like, why does your hair feel like? They would say my hair was like. How come my hair feels weird and stuff like that? Like, there was a lot of things that would make me upset because I'm like, what do you do? Like, I felt like I was being picked on a lot. And then when you're the only black person in the class, it's hard.
No, I hear you. It's funny, you know, a lot of empath that I talk to seem to have experiences where they are one of the few, you know, black kids in you know, in a generally, you know, white area, you know. So I wonder if, you know, there's some philosophers that say basically like, you know, only the educated are free. So I think that, you know, getting a good education is important. You know what I'm trying to say? I mean, meaning,
yeah.
So I, you know, sometimes I think that, like, spiritually speaking, that we were placed in these, you know, these families that would allow us to be able to get a quality education. So we can then explore our roots. You know what I'm trying to say? Without, you know what I'm trying to say? Like without like limitation.
Understand.
Yeah.
Yes, I understand very well. Yeah.
So yeah, I also
it was weird because you have that in school, and then at home you have another set of whatever's going on at home.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I found that I would retreat to myself. Like I would make a little. It seems weird to me now when I look at it now, but I understand that I would make like a little place in my house where I could go inside there and just hide.
How old were you?
I was probably 8, 9, 10, all those ages. I would just disappear and hide and read books after books after books.
You were trying to understand the world you're in, probably.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, it's probably what it was. You know, you're like, why are these people like this?
And it was an escape, too, because I had an overbearing father.
Oh, I see.
And so that was my escape, too. Like, from everything, school, it's just the overbearing parent.
Mm-hmm.
So, and just read and disappear into some fantasy land, some book.
I hear you. Tell me about your father. Would you? How would you say? Like, you know, they sometimes people say that there's an empath narcissistic scale. You know, what do you think he'd fall on that scale?
Narcissistic?
Yeah.
Could you clarify that?
Like, meaning, like, do you think your I've recently discovered that a lot of people that are empaths have narcissists in their family. You know what I'm trying to say?
Okay.
And I'm wondering, I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm just asking because it recently came up. That topic kind of came up. You don't think that your father fell on that kind of scale? Do you think, or how was he overbearing? In what way? I'm trying to say.
Okay. Should I tell you how he is from from a child point of view, or
Whatever,
from me
whatever you,
understanding him now?
whatever you, however you want to do it. I think as a child would be important, because I'm trying to understand why, like, I'm thinking of you, kind of retreating into your own world. I'm not sure if that's because of the children in your classroom, teasing you, or you just trying to understand the world you live in, or both, or is it more, you dealing with the overbearing father, or all three of those? You know what I'm trying to say? I'm trying to understand.
I think it was both. I think it was all of, because okay, growing up with parents that come from the islands, my parents are from Jamaica, and they grew up in the country side of Jamaica, so they grew up kind of in poverty, but not poverty, like still in a environment that's okay, but still over here it looks like poverty. So they coming to Canada was like the best thing that could ever happen to them, like to escape the country, the poverty, and all that. So they come over here and they brought their the ways and their upbringing and everything here, which was good, because I learned a lot from them. But at the same time, we were living in Canada, so it was hard having parents that were kind of country in my environment, because like my friends were like, their parents were different, so when you have parents that are kind of different, it was like a conflict, because the way that my parents did things was different from how all my friends' parents did things.
So give me an example. Like what? You were not able to go to sleepovers, or like what? Give me an example so I can.
Yeah, I wasn't allowed at sleepovers, and if I went to birthday parties, I would have to be the only one that would have to leave like after a certain time, and I used to hate that because I wanted to sleep over, but they didn't feel comfortable because they didn't grow up with that kind of a thing. Like anything that they didn't grow up with,
no, I hear you. Yeah, a little odd. Yeah, a little
like,
odd. Yeah.
Yeah, it's odd. Like,
yeah.
And you know how it is. Like you tend to follow like Halloween time, and
yeah.
You just want to do what everybody else is doing. So it was kind of difficult. Now, I didn't know at the time that my dad was depressed.
Mm-hmm.
So he was the type of man that would come home miserable and take out all his frustrations that the world, now I understand it was white supremacy, but I didn't know at the time. But he would take out all that frustration on us in the house. Let
me ask you, what would that feel like? You know what I'm trying to say? Because I've heard, like, my own mother talk about her father, growing up, and he come back from work, and like, what does that feel like? You know what I'm trying to say? As an empath, I mean, I'm assuming you don't know you're an empath as a young child, but you're still sensitive,
Well, this is what it feels like. As soon as you hear the key, as soon as the key hits the lock and he's coming in, your whole body tenses up. And so he walks in, and then he starts his yelling and rambling. He used to beat us, like, with a belt. And I found that I was, like, a pretty good kid, but I would get beat for not speaking up. Like say one of his friends came over, and the friend asked me a question, and I would respond, but I would respond in a quiet voice. I would hear, "Open your mouth and talk." Like he would yell at me to open my mouth and speak up, speak louder. Or like we would just get beat for like the stupidest things, and it was just terror. And my sister, I have an older sister. Oh my God. My older sister, I guess, wasn't really his
biological daughter,
and he took like out all his frustration on her before he started on me. So I had to watch her get beat after beat and treated bad until to the day that she packed up her bag at 13 and left.
Wow.
And so I sat there all those days. I think I remember like just sitting on the couch, just listening to her get beat and her crying, like the sound of her screaming. Then he would come to me and make fun of her, make fun of the sounds of her crying.
Yeah.
Like, he would come to me and make fun with wanting me to
Empathy.
make fun of her too.
Yeah.
And oh God, like it was just crazy. And the day that she left I was so sad because she left a note for my mom, and my mom is an amazing woman, but she's very, very quiet and gentle, and she watched all of it go on, and she didn't do anything.
Yeah.
And then when she left, he started on me. So I was the punching bag, and it's just crazy. Like, I have my sister right now is in her mid-40s and is affected. My brother is 10 years younger than me and is totally affected. Like, he doesn't do anything. He doesn't work. He doesn't do nothing. He doesn't really talk to anybody. He has like some kind of a problem with speaking to people, so he can't even, because he saw a lot, like when he was a baby, he saw a lot of that. Mm-hmm. And then I was a middle child that soaked in everything. So what it feels like is just tension in your body, like tension. And I understand now where anxiety comes from, is because, you know, like when you're a kid, you're not supposed to feel all that tension. You're not supposed to see all of that.
Yeah.
You know, but there's people that have worse situations too. Like I always tell myself, there's kids that went through worse. You know?
I hear you. I'm with you. I mean, there's always someone that's gone through worse. I mean, but I mean, at the same time, that's still not the key to healing. You know, I'm trying to say the key to healing is acknowledgement of it, you know? And I mean, obviously I'm sure you've done that, you know, you seem like you said you have siblings that haven't taken it as well in terms of their own healing, you know? So let me ask you this, like, number one, how did you know you're an empath, and what have you done? Like, what steps have you taken to heal from those early childhood traumas that you've endured?
Well, when I was a kid, I was very sensitive to things. I was sensitive to the weather. I was sensitive to like cold, like sudden changes of temperature. Like if the temperature would drop like slightly, I felt it, and I would voice it. I'd be like, "Oh, the temperature dropped," and people are looking at me like I'm crazy. But I would notice things like that, and I would notice like sound waves, like in my room. Like I would say to my sister, like, "Oh, I think somebody just turned a TV on," and she's looking at me like, "How could somebody turn a TV on?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I just hear it." Mm-hmm. Like, I could just hear these high-pitched sounds. I would have, like, vivid dreams. I got sick a lot. Like, I got the flu a lot. If I would go out, we would go and we would drive, like, for, like, an hour in the car. As soon as I came out of the car, I would have to throw up. When they took me to Jamaica, the temperature changed from over here to Jamaica. I got a fever. Like, I don't know. It was just, I was always sensitive, and my parents didn't understand. Like, they didn't understand that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. They just knew that, like, I was sensitive, but they didn't understand it. And because of the environment I was in, like, they couldn't help me, you know. But as I got older, I didn't understand. I didn't even know about this empath thing until maybe 15 years ago. Mm-hmm. Maybe give and take 15, 20 years ago, I heard about it and I did research and I said, wait a second, that's me. Mm-hmm. That's me. So, but the thing I noticed that when I would look up information on being an empath, it's all like Caucasians. And I was like, but what about Black people that are empaths? Like,
yeah.
We already have one problem to deal with, but then being an empath on top of that, like, people don't understand these things. And that's probably why I sat down and I said, I gotta write something, even if it's it's not a thick book or anything. I just got to write something because there's got to be other people like this.
Yes, exactly. Now let me ask you two-part question. One, what do you think the purpose of being an empath is? Maybe using your life, as a reference or a guide for that. Like why do you think you are an empath? Like, I'm trying to say, like, you ever thought about that? Like, why, like, asking God or whatever you believe in, why do I feel more? I'm trying to say?
I think now I understand that. I think that empaths are needed because empaths can sense, they can feel deeply, like they understand things on a deeper level than some people do, and they're needed because like sometimes, like, people don't care. I find that a lot of people don't really care about other people and how people feel, and even with animals, like.
Mm.
I can't handle watching people hurt animals because I can feel it. I think that empaths are needed in this society, especially now.
Yeah.
Like what we're living in right now is, I don't know what this is. This is crazy.
Yeah. It's funny. You mentioned that about you feeling animals. I remember one of the most vivid memories I ever had. The angriest I've ever been as a child. I remember fishing, and I used to fish, but I try to be as gentle as I could with the fish, in terms of when I took the hook out, so, but like, I remember these freaking, this one white kid, it could have been any kid, but it was, he was a nasty looking, gnarly white kid, and he freaking took out this fish, a little pumpkin seed, and he couldn't get the hook out, and he just stomped on it, and I felt, until it, trying to say, until it stopped flapping so we can get the hook out. Like, I was just like, that shit crushed me. That I was just, yeah. I wanted to stomp on him. I wanted to destroy that kid. I'm trying to say, like,
oh, I understand.
That I was like, to this day, I think of how livid that made me feel. I'm trying to say, and what it is that, we're all connected. Every living thing is an aspect of you. I'm trying to say, and yeah. a lot of these, people are just, and honestly, I really think that in terms of, a lot of the European colonists when they came here, like they are like what we're calling narcissism now. Like, I really kind of have a theory that, like, indigenous people were just more empathetic in nature. I'm trying to say, meaning they were just more caring in nature, more giving in nature. And I think that they were taken advantage of a people that really were, what I think what we're calling narcissistic really honestly is people that have the seed of God in them and understand what I was saying, that we're all connected. I'm trying to say, and then certain people that have been disconnected from that and had no realization of that. I'm trying to say because of maybe because of their origin or their I don't know. You know what I'm trying to say, but I hear you. I hear you. Yeah. And if you're looking at what's going on today, that I think that's just a result of it playing out, because ultimately, with a lot of narcissists, it's like if they cannot, how to put it, they feel they have to control what they cannot obtain, if that makes sense.
Yes. Oh, yes.
You know what I'm trying to say? So it's like, if you can't be natural, then dominate nature. You know what I'm trying to say? Go to Africa and kill a lion if you can't be natural. Yes. Or, you know what I'm trying to say? It's like
it's barbaric. It's barbaric. It's not. It's not balanced. It's an imbalance, and I don't. It's hard. It's hard to deal with these days. It's so hard.
Well, I mean,
you can't hide from it.
I hear you. I mean, like I've through meditation and dealing with the pain of all similar things, and just understanding the world we live in, which is, it really can seem like a nightmare, and it did for me. I was trying to be the next Malcolm X of my generation. You know what I'm trying to say? But I was more like into I'm not sure if you heard the Moorish movement or in North America. I'm sure it's in Canada to some degree. Yeah. But basically, I was trying to, free us through law, and to make a long story short, that landed me in jail. And basically, I had to, it took me a while to realize that, the freedom that I was seeking from, trying to find freedom from living under this white man. But really, what that was is, and also freedom, wanting, us as black people to have the right to self-determination. You know what I'm trying to say? Or,
Yeah.
What I realize now, what that actually is that I can put it, it's like, we're living in a world that is, it's a matrix. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, this is, it took me a while to realize that this is not my home. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, so it's like, I can put it, it's like, people are born in the matrix and they die in the matrix. You know what I'm trying to say? Good happens in the matrix. Evil happens in the matrix. Justice happens in the matrix and injustice happens in the matrix. But ultimately, the issue is not all those things. It's actually the matrix itself. And if we lived in a world where there was only, only harmony, you know what I'm trying to say? Or if we were all singing Kumbaya and all holding hands, we may not know that this is not our home. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. It makes a lot of sense. I understand that.
So, like, go ahead, please.
You have to have it. You have to have both of it. Both. It can't be all perfect.
I mean, this world was never designed to be perfect. You know what I'm trying to say? It's only perfect for those people who become narcissistic and want to make it their heaven. You know what I'm trying to say? But what I've realized is that, like, through pain, I think pain is really the greatest teacher. You know what I'm trying to say? And through that pain and the introspection that comes with, learning about the world, it really can bring you wisdom. And I think that empaths experience more pain than other people. You know what I'm trying to say, in terms of what they feel. You know what I'm trying to say? And I think that can give us a leg up, in terms of our own, inner evolution. What do you feel about that?
No, I agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
I agree, because you have to do a lot of self-reflection and self-work to understand all of this. To understand, like, I listened to Krishnamurti. I don't know if you've heard of him.
No, but please explain though. What philosophy or teachings does that entail?
Well, I came across him online, and I just like listening to him because he simplifies life, and a lot of the things that people are involved in are a big waste of time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, a lot of people focus on the wrong things, and we have so much distraction. Like, it's ridiculous, the distractions that are out there for everyone, and has everybody going chasing this, chasing that, and they never stop to understand things. And there's also a problem too, where when you try to explain things to certain people, some people don't want to know. They're so, like, comfortable with the way that they see things.
Let me ask you, what would you try to explain to somebody? Give me an example of someone that you would try to talk to. I'm trying to say, and about what?
Like, if you could learn even something about health, because I'm interested in health and natural health, and you may try to teach a family member something that could actually help them, and they don't want. They're so comfortable with the way. I don't know if they're comfortable, but they're just used to the way that they know. So they don't even want to hear from you, because they're looking at you like, what are you, a doctor? You're not a doctor. So
I hear you.
Why are you telling me? You're telling me what to do? It's just so hard. Yeah. And it's so sad too when you know you can help somebody or guide somebody, but
I hear you.
They don't want to hear.
No, I hear you. Like, from what I've learned, and I was the same way at one point. I was like, why don't people care to know? You know what I'm trying to say? I was so passionate about it. There was a point in my life when I was very frustrated. But what I've come to realize now is that, and I'm not sure if you believe this, that we're all one. We're all connected by the soul. I'm trying to say, or invisible bonds that connect us all, right? So if we're all one, then what I feel that empaths are a lot of times is that we are the the best of what our family has to produce. You know what I'm trying to say, or what our tribe has to produce. You know what I'm trying to say? Oh,
I thought of that. That's
yeah,
good. I like how you put that.
yeah, absolutely. So what it is that we are strong enough to be able to transmute the generational pains, right, and traumas that our bloodlines have. So we can through healing ourselves, we elevate our people as a whole. And each one of us came down here to do that specific task. So the reason why they don't care to hear, whether they know it or not, but you need to know it, is because by you healing and by you understanding and by you elevating yourself, we all elevate as a whole. You know, I like to think of the example of like a thread, you know, like a woven thread. You know, if I pull on the string that is you, you know, I'm trying to say we all rise. Yeah. So no man, yeah, exactly, absolutely, and that's absolute truth, you know. And just by knowing that alone, that has brought me great comfort, and you know, it allows me to take the power back into my own hands, and that's one of the reasons why I created, you know, this group on Facebook and this YouTube channel and this potential, you know, this eventually a podcast. So
okay, that is, I understand you well when you say that's the way you put it together. I've never heard anybody put that together like that. So
it took me a while. It took me a while to get it. Trust me, a lot of frustration and a lot of meditation, a lot of self-reflection. You know, I'm blessed in the fact that I don't work a 9-to-5 job. You know, I only work about 6 hours a week. So I meditate a lot and transmute trauma a lot. Let me ask you though, what have you done to transmute your own trauma? You know, I'm trying to say, I wonder, like, how did you heal the rift between you and your father, and you know, how are you dealing with your siblings now? Like,
well, my father, for the longest time we weren't talking, and but now he's getting older, and he's reaching out to he wants my daughter around, but she's so busy, and me and him, like, I don't really get to talk to him much unless I call the house and he answers the phone. I may talk to him for a little bit, but he's so in a negative space that it kind of affects me, so I can't really talk to him for too long. Mm-hmm. But when I do go over there and I see him, he's there and all that, but it's sad. I'm very sad at how it is, because I can't really I can't get that father-daughter thing that, you know, you would want. I don't have that with him. I still get attention when he's around me, like a slight tension of the times when he did all those things that he did when he was younger to us.
Yes.
And he's also affected us too, so I have that tension around him. I don't have the warm thing with him, so it's kind of weird. But I'm close to my mom.
Let me ask you. Let me ask you, because I want to touch on this. Do you like? Would you say that you hate your father? You know what I'm trying to say? Like, what is the feeling that you know? Do you have rage still pent up against your father? And that's okay. I just want to know.
When I was younger, I did. Now I feel really sad. Like, I feel sorry for him that he didn't try to help himself. Like, he didn't try to help himself become a better parent, you know, and wife and husband, you know. So I feel sad. Like, I feel sorry for him now. I don't hate him, because I understand that he grew up when he came here, there, like, black men weren't even allowed to look at white women, like, glance at white women. Mm-hmm. Like, what time was that? He came here in a hostile time.
What time was that? What like, you know, what, like 20s, 30s, what, 40s, 50s?
No, in the 60s.
60s?
In the like mid 60s.
20s. What am I talking about? Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I don't know anything about Canada. So it's similar to the US then, in terms, well, maybe not as bad as US, but still similar. There wasn't segregation, but it was still a code, right?
Well, he went to Miami first.
Oh, I see.
He experienced Miami before he came here. So he's experienced a lot, and I think he went through a lot with, like, jobs, and I don't know what he went through growing up, because he's never said anything, but it seems like he's angry at he wasn't able to be who he wanted to be.
Yeah,
because of the time that he grew up in and the things that were going on now. So sometimes I'm upset with like the whole system. I'm upset because we have to pay for what our parents were put through.
Absolutely.
So I just feel sad about that. But other than that, like my siblings, I talk to my sister, but we're not as close because there is a little bit of a tension there because of how she left and how she feels that my dad favored me over her, and then she went through all that. So there's a little bit of tension there. My brother is in his own world, but we still communicate through text, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But we don't see each other all the time. But other than that, like, you're asking me how I get through.
Like, have you meditated? Like, have you, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, have you, like, what, like, I'm guessing from my own personal experience and people that I've talked to, like, you know, a lot of us have to develop some sort of faith and something greater than ourselves or a higher purpose. You know what I'm trying to say, to help us get through that. Like, what, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, how, what have you done to heal? Like, have you begun to meditate? Do you like, what tools do you use to get, cause you seem like this is just listening to you. You seem like you're a pretty strong, like, you know, like resilient person, like, you know, but you come from a childhood of trauma. And I know that your siblings probably haven't fared as well as you have. So what is different about you? What have you used that maybe you can say that would maybe help others that may be listening to this to you know, that have dealt with, you know, parents that have maybe put them through trauma?
Okay, I could say that I used to work in film and TV, so I understand that film industry, and so I like movies, and I delve into like good books, and I used to read a ton of self-help books to help me out, and that kind of brought me to a different level. And I understand the ancestral realm. Mm-hmm. So I give respect. I ask for help, like guidance from my grandparents and stuff. Like I try on my own. I do a lot of spiritual things at home. Like I take my spiritual bath. Mm-hmm. I use a lot of mental power, like I guess alchemy.
Yes.
For like when I cook, and even just the way I move around. I move around with I envision a protection, like a protective shield around me as I move around. I'm interested in music. I play a lot of music. Like music just takes me away. Like it feeds me. It feeds my soul. Mm-hmm. So it's just, I guess I found a way to live, learning about my history, learning about, I pay attention a lot to what like people before us used to do. Like I like to learn about how they used to do, like things that they used to do, how they used to cook, how they used to look after plants. And I read a lot. I read a lot of books, and I guess these books that I read, like I've read books from anywhere from Dr. Joe Dispenza to Layla Africa. Mm-hmm. So I have a lot of books that helped me see things. I grew up going to church, but I was never really interested in church, even when I was going. Mm-hmm. But I do have a strong connection to my creator. Mm-hmm. I look at, and the way I see my creator in all things. Mm-hmm. Like I own a cat. I see my creator in my cat.
Me too.
See my creator.
What color is your cat? What kind of cat is your cat?
I have an orange tabby cat.
Oh man, I love one of the best cats I ever had was an orange tabby. Man, they're so affectionate. Is it a male?
It's a male, yeah.
Yeah, the males are the best. I'm sorry, but but the male, because them female cats, they're doing their own thing. They don't got time for you. You notice that?
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yo, female cats don't give a snot about you. They're like, but yeah, You know, they're queens. They're queens. So that's actually what they're called. Female cats are actually called queens for a reason. So, but yeah, definitely.
Yeah. But my cat, he talks like he's very vocal. Like it's funny to me. And I could be in the living room and I'll think about him, and it's like he heard me thinking about him, and he'll come walking out.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And I find that's so cool.
Some cat telepathy. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah, I just recently kind of adopted a feral cat, and we're starting to kind of develop that a little bit. You know, it's pretty cool.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think you know on the Facebook page that I have, I was thinking of just ideas for maybe possible topics for a podcast, and and a couple of those is healing using baths, and healing using crystals, and also healing with the assistance of animals. I'm trying to say I think it's important.
It's very important.
It is, because I really think that especially with empaths, our nervous system is something like a prey animal. I'm trying to say like I say an animal that might be preyed upon, or just like, for example, like
I see that.
You know what I'm trying to say? Yeah. When I look at a deer, I'm like, oh, when you look at that deer's eyes, you know what I'm trying to say? You look at his eyes, and you're like, there's something about that is I can connect more with a deer's eyes sometimes, or even a cat's eyes, than probably like 80% of human beings.
I understand.
You know what I'm trying to say? Like, I'm like, there's something in there that is so innocent, and a certain spirit that you rarely find in most human beings, because of all this fear-based programming that we've been indoctrinated with. So it's like you have to go back to the natural world to find that. So I find that interesting, and I think that's why I mean, we could talk about cats for days, but I just find like our relationship between animals be fascinating. What other animals do you like? What other animals do you like? And just in general that you kind of connect with?
I like elephants, but I haven't really been able to connect with or see one. Like, I've never met one or anything like that. But I really love elephants and how sweet they are. Mm-hmm. And I'm so horrified of the fact of what they did to elephants in Africa. It bothers me. Like, I can't. But I like elephants, and I like horses. Mm-hmm. And I like dogs too, but I just love cats.
Of course, absolutely. I recently found out that cats can they basically they clean your etheric body.
Oh yeah,
so they take a lot of that negative energy away. Apparently, so like with some, I'm not sure how familiar you are with crystals, but some crystals, like they'll take like the negative energy from you, but the energy will stay on the crystal. But with cats, they can take that negative energy and they transmute it. Like it doesn't affect them. That's why
I heard about that. That's nice.
Yeah. There's a lecturer called Brother Panic, and he has a video speaking about that. So you definitely watch that at some point. But basically, I found that sometimes, like, there's things that intuitively as empaths we always know, but we don't sometimes know how to say it. I'm trying to say, but we know how it makes us feel.
Yeah.
And I know speaking to people that are other empaths, like they'll say like, yeah, I come home from work and then, but when I pet my kitty, I feel great again. I'm trying to say, I just come home great.
I know.
And I'm the same way, this second ago, I was feeling a certain way, I came back from work, I was like, come here, kitty, come snuggle with me in bed, I need some,
I know, and then they just take it away. You
exactly.
Feel it's comforting.
It is, and
so I think that's what it is. That's how I'm dealing with it. I've created an environment where it's me and my husband and my cat, and we try to live as natural as possible, and I find that that's what is helping me. That the candles, the sage, like you said, the crystals, or the music. It's just an environment that I've created that helps me deal with that whole empathic. Oh boy, that's what helps me.
No, I hear you.
And I know where to put myself now. Whereas when I was younger, I would put myself in all kinds of environments that weren't right for me.
Mm-hmm. Give me an example.
But now, like I would be around people that, were totally wrong for me, or I would be in environments that just ruined me, or I would take jobs that, like, I took a job at a law firm and ended up having panic attacks there. And the doctor forced me to quit the job. And
what is a panic attack like?
Jobs for the money.
Yeah, I hear you. Describe to me what a panic attack's like. 'Cause I've heard about it, but I've never been told what it's like from an empath.
Well, I think everybody gets them differently, but for me, I would get what I had was, I would be on the subway, because we got subways here, and I would just feel like the place is off. Like, and I would start to feel like my heart is pounding. Like, I feel like I have to run. Like I have to run, but there's nothing to run from. I would go into a grocery store.
Yeah.
And then I would have to run out. Like, I'd have to leave the grocery store because I'd feel like the floor is tilting.
Now, let me ask you two things. When you're on the subway, were you going to work, or were you coming from work, or were you just on the subway, period?
I would be on the subway at rush hour, and it would happen when I was coming. No, it happened both. Either or. It happened going to work. It happened at work, where I would be sending a fax.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would lose the sensation where I couldn't feel my finger.
Gotcha.
And I would I'd be like, what happened to me? Like, and then I would go and sit down, or just all kinds of weird things would happen at work or on the subway. And then I went to the doctor. The doctor put me on medication, and the medication helped for a while. And then after a while, it's like it wasn't helping anymore. So he took me off it. And then he was trying to tell me that it's more than medication. Like, it's something that I have to deal with. Like, I can't just rely on the medication, which I was grateful for him for saying that, because
you got a good doctor.
Keep trying. Yeah, he basically told me the truth, and that was a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
But he basically told me I got to quit the job. He goes, not all jobs are for everyone.
Correct.
That's what he told me.
Yeah, absolutely. So. And sometimes, I mean, I always think of things in a metaphysical light. That's just who I am. But sometimes I sometimes think that maybe people that have panic attacks, like, number one, maybe they're living out like some kind of, it could even be past life type trauma or something in their DNA. You know what I'm trying to say? That is unresolved.
Yeah.
Or you ever thought about that? I'm not sure if that's the case with you. I don't know, but this is me just speculating, and just, I'm an empath, so I search my feelings for everything. And then I guess it's really in the same kind of light. Really, just, I think it could just be also, your soul telling you that, there's something that needs to be dealt with, which I guess is the same thing, really, Yeah.
I understand. I see it that way too. Mm-hmm. Like, sometimes I think kind of on a different level, where sometimes I'll just think that, first of all, I'll think about a time when all the buildings weren't there and it was just natives mm-hmm. living where I am. I don't know. So maybe my mind is like in other places as well.
No, I think that as well. Because what it is that, as civilizations come and they go, there's energetic residue of the things that have happened. You know what I'm trying to say? And so what you're doing is you're honoring the pain and the suffering of those who have come before you, because I think what happens is a lot of time those spirits, if they're not acknowledged, it's like they're playing out their trauma within us. You're trying to say, because we're all one. Does that make sense? You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
So I think sense. I know for me personally, a lot of the work that I've done was in the spirit realm. I know I moved to North Carolina which is in the south of the United States, if you don't know, and during that time, like, I dealt with some serious, ancestral issues dealing with slavery. You know what I'm trying to say? And I went through some stuff, man. I had to literally give myself an exorcism. You know what I'm trying to say? So, like, I think, I was speaking to other sisters, that, I feel like sometimes we're called to acknowledge, to acknowledge the pain of the past of our ancestors and other indigenous peoples, because ultimately, if this is not our home, then we're trying to get out of here. In order to do that, we have to we have to lighten our hearts. In order to lighten our hearts, we have to deal with pain. I'm trying to say it's not going to come if we ignore it. So I think that's a big part of what we do here as empaths on Earth.
I understand. When I watch movies, I have to be careful too, because I get really deep into what's going on in the movie, to the point where I'm picturing all kinds of things, and I have to be careful, because my sleep gets affected if I'm too attached to something mentally and all kinds of stuff. So I have to watch what I pay attention to, and because, like you said, like I was saying, I can be here, but I can also be elsewhere too. So I have to focus myself.
I hear you.
It's a lot of work, and I don't know. Do you have vivid dreams? Do you dream?
Sometimes I do. Sometimes I do. But I mean, I'll say that I meditate a lot, and I think that unfortunately, when we're having a lot of these dreams, it's what we're doing is we're our restless spirits are having to play it out in the dream realm, because we're not doing we're not doing the work actively on Earth as much as we could. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
So but then again, I don't know how many hours a week you work, but again, I work 6 hours a week. It's just nothing. You know what I'm trying to say? And I don't even have to do that. So I'm in a situation where I have the time to meditate a lot. So I meditate a whole lot. And I mean, I still have dreams, but I don't remember them that much, I'm sure. But when I didn't meditate a lot, before I began meditating hard, I had my brother tell me, this is when I just had gotten home from jail, that I was in my sleep. I was yelling, I'm trying to say, and cussing, and just saying, just like I'm fighting something in my sleep.
Yeah.
I'm trying to say? Mm-hmm. And I knew during that time that I was going through some stuff. I'm trying to say, mm-hmm. I mean, I was asleep, so I doubt I'd be doing that now, although I wouldn't know, because I have no one to tell me. But I was just, for me, I was forced to meditate, because I was in a situation where I had just come from jail, and I went from jail to house arrest. I'm trying to say, so that was the spirit allowing me to. It was forcing me to deal with myself without being subject to anything external. Meaning, a lot of people, maybe they may go on a vacation somewhere, you know what I'm trying to say? Or, maybe they, begin to, smoke a substance or drink something, or, meet a girl or meet a guy, or, they find something to kind of, distract them from the pain that they've endured. You know what I'm trying to say? So I was forced to have to deal with that. And I had to meditate. It was either meditate or I was gonna just, do something that I regretted. You know what I'm trying to say? That's how much tension I had. So now, I'm at a much more peaceful place in my life. I'm trying to say, but that has taken years of work and of meditation, and really dealing with real nasty things within inside myself and with inside others, because I think what trauma really is you're dealing with the pain that weaker people could not deal with. You know what I'm trying to say?
Okay. Yes. It's true. Yeah.
So I'm having to carry, because, I've got my own trauma, from them. Mm-hmm. Then I'm dealing with their trauma, what I'm trying to say, from whatever.
I know.
And then we come from an ancestry of trauma. So, but what, I'm in a series I'm doing called Alchemy, No Pain, No Gain. What I've realized is that, all the examples of highly enlightened men, I know in the case of Buddha, he actually sought out pain. I'm trying to say, you know the story. He was a prince, and he lived basically the perfect life by any standards. And he was curious to know, why is this guy aging? Why is this, why is the animals hurting? I'm trying to and through transmuting that pain, I'm trying to say, he began to become wise and understood the process of reincarnation, and was so Earth is actually the problem. You know what I'm trying to say? And and he's I'm going to meditate and do what I got to do to make sure that we never have to come back here. You you know, and I think that for me, that's my that is my focal point in life. That is my that right there is my focal point in life. And everything that I do, you know, I'm trying to say with the free time that, you know, my soul has allotted for me. Like I try and use that to help other empaths, like focus their energy, you know, more towards that as much as they can, because I think that ultimately, I like I said, I really believe that's the reason why we're here, to take this pain and to transmute it so we can ascend.
Yes. Can I ask you a question?
Please.
How exactly how do you meditate?
How do I meditate?
Because I know now I'm starting to realize that people take all kinds of different ways to meditate.
Well, I'll say that when I first, have you ever heard of the book, The Kabbalion?
Yes, I've heard of it. I haven't read it, but I've heard of it.
You need to read that. That's a must-have for all empaths.
Kabbalion?
The Kabbalion. Basically, it's the 7 Hermetic principles, as it would be, you know, typically called, or the 7, you know, universal laws. But really, it's really just the laws of Thoth, or Tahuti, you know, who was a god in Egypt, and basically, I'm not sure if I remember off the top of my head, but basically it's like mentalism, cause and effect, polarity, rhythm, gender. I don't know, this correspondence. There's another. I forget. But basically, the main one to really for people that meditate to really begin to focus on is the mentalism. Basically, it says that all is mind, the universe is mental, and what that's. So think of this, like I think of my emotions as on a pendulum, right? And that pendulum swings from having good days to having bad days, right? Ultimately, you want your human experience to come from within, and not like imagine an arrow pointing from your heart outward, right? You want your human experience to be coming from your heart outward, not from, you know, like the arrows pointing inward, where your nervous system is affecting how your heart is. You know what I'm trying to say? Where the nervous system is dictating the heart's response. You know what I'm trying to say? Okay. Yeah. So the heart naturally wants to glow, and naturally wants to love, and it naturally wants to be free, right? But the nervous system, which is, you know, or the body, which is built upon the matrix, and within it the law of survival. They say the first law of nature is self-preservation, right? So there goes the conflict. You have a heart that wants to love and a body that wants to protect itself, and you know, and to protect itself, it'll use fear. So that pendulum really is really dealing with the battle between the nervous system and the soul, or the heart and the will of God, right? And that we're you know, that pendulum constantly swings, and as an alchemist, what you need to do is be mindful of that pendulum and how you're feeling constantly. And through the law of mentalism, or as I say, be mindful, you can begin to realize that, how can I put it? There were times when people would, when I was getting in control of how my emotions were, there'd be times when people would be laughing, and everybody was laughing, and I would not laugh. You know what I'm trying to say? I would make sure that I even laughter, even love, even happiness can be used against you on your spiritual path. You know what I'm trying to say?
You know, I want to say something right there, that I have this thing too, where sometimes when I get too excited about things, I can actually affect my body in a negative way. Yes, because what it does is again, what it is it affects your willpower. It draws from the solar plexus chakra, and it affects your willpower. So your willpower to be able to not have any external influence. Again, you want your happiness to come from within, So if other people can make you laugh, or can make you, how can I put it, or can make you in a happy mood,
then you're still subject to those people making you in a happy mood. If that makes any sense?
It does make sense.
Correct. And vice versa. If people are down and they're feeling sad, or they're angry, or they're frustrated, and they can make you feel frustrated within yourself, then you're still subject to those people and to that emotion. So you have to be mindful of both polarities. And what you need to do is be able to bring that pole that is on that pendulum that's on a constant swing right to the center through mindfulness. And as you begin to do that, you begin to, like, how to put it, you begin to, like, the heart has an electromagnetic field. So then that's, that the whole law of attraction thing they talk about, that's really all that is. You're trying to say you're beginning to, the pendulum is now magnetized by you. You're trying to say? And so then that vibration that you send out, then will come back to you. You know what I'm trying to say? And so our conversation right now is a result of my own process of magnetizing, I'm trying to say how to put it. I made sure that even before I created this group on Facebook that I meditated and I cleared my heart to make sure that my intentions were pure and that I wasn't doing this from a place of ego or a place of fear, or, what I'm trying to say? Cause I was afraid of stupid things that now I think are stupid, but like, I'm like, oh, all these empaths here, I don't want I don't want people to see us all, like, it's like just, like all kinds of things that I would think about, what I'm trying to say? Like, and just fears of mine or, am I doing this for the right reasons, or like, what am I going to talk about? Or, what I'm trying to say, and, I had to make sure that when I created it, that my pendulum was still. You know what I'm trying to say? Yeah. Because that stillness is needed for us to be able to self-reflect and to better seek God. A knowing of ourselves, and through a knowing of ourselves, a knowing of God. Which is really just our own soul, which connects us all. Yeah.
I was listening to an Alan Watts talk, like it was just a short talk about anxiety, and he was saying almost the same thing. It's that stillness. We have to get back to it often. Like, we can't pay attention too much to what's going on outside all the time. We always have to go back to the stillness inside.
Correct. And for me, what I've realized now is that what's going on outside, and now this is very cliche to say, like, it's an illusion. Well, it's like this, again, babies die in the Matrix. Babies are born in the Matrix. Babies die in the Matrix. I'm trying to say injustice happens in the Matrix. Yeah. Justice happens in the Matrix. Nations rise in the Matrix. Nations fall in the Matrix. Right?
Yeah.
So ultimately, you know what you're going to see in the news? Nothing, because it's all from the Matrix, which is it's only something that we're experiencing now. But this is a blink of an eye in terms of, us as eternal beings. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yes.
So when you understand that, guess what you're going to see in the news? Nothing. When you look under a microscope, guess what you see? Nothing. Right? Yeah. Nothing. Zeros and ones. Zeros and ones. Yeah. That's all you're seeing. Mm-hmm. Right? Because all this will pass away, will it not?
Oh yeah.
Exactly. So again, let's focus on the things that are eternal. Because only from that place are you ever going to find any truth and any peace and any real source of love that doesn't pass away. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. I don't think I take time out enough to meditate. I should be doing it a lot more. Like,
absolutely.
I don't do it enough. Yeah. I think I'm too distracted with a lot of things, and I don't know, like, I try, but I need to do that more.
You know what it is?
I wrote on it in the book, but I also try other things, but maybe sometimes I have to slow my mind down because I think a lot. I'm always thinking of what am I going to buy to cook, or what am I going to do for this?
I get you.
I'm always thinking, and I have to, like, shut up sometimes and just leave things alone. Like, just leave it be.
Let me
hearing this is good. Like, this is good for me. What you explained about your meditation, I needed to hear.
Thank you. One more thing I want to say about meditation, because with the brain chatter that you're talking about, this is the one part I wanted to make sure I didn't leave out. When you meditate, all the things I said were true, but in order for you to be able to focus on something when you meditate, what you need to focus on is actually your breath. You need to focus on your breath. Yes, you need to focus on your breath. And also, as an empath, you have an advantage because you're very in tune with your nervous system, right? And what you're doing is when you breathe, you're bringing oxygen into your lungs, but also you're bringing oxygen into your nervous system, and you're opening up your veins to let more light in.
Yes.
Literally more light. That light is coming from your soul, right? The purpose of meditation is to raise your soul, which lies dormant in the base of your spine. You know what I'm trying to say? Mm-hmm. And you're raising that up through the chakra system, and transmuting the pain within and the lessons of that pain within each chakra system. You know what I'm trying to say? Yeah. And it's a battle, again, like I said, it's a battle between the fear within our nervous system and our matrix, monkey body, you know what I'm trying to say, and the will of God, which is boundless to the point where this universe would never comprehend it, So it's the thing with meditation is it's truthfully, it's not as flowery as this new age thing would have you believe. It's really about dealing with pain and transmuting pain. So the reason why people don't do it is because, I can go turn on Netflix right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I can go to the club, baby. You know what I'm trying to say? I can smoke this, I can drink this, and I'm not saying, don't have don't go out every now and then, but like, if you're about this work, I'm trying to say, to whatever degree you are, or even about your own happiness, then you're going to want your experience to be 100% pure and 100% authentic. And you can't be 100% authentic when you're experiencing, especially as an empath, the fear, not just of yourself, but of others.
That's true.
You know what I'm trying to say? Because you pick up on it all the time. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, it's like you're a sponge. You're a walking sponge.
And the only way to remedy that is through mindfulness, and to be mindful of that pendulum and be mindful of where your source of stimuli is coming from. Again, is it external or is it internal through your heart? Is it pure love? Because pure love it takes a painful process to go through. Think of the story of Christ. Think of the story of Buddha. Yeah. They dealt with pain and suffering and trauma, just like we have to go through. So yeah, it's a process. I mean, it's a beautiful process, and I really find it a blessing to be able to speak to people like you. I wanted to ask you one thing because I think it's important, and maybe we'll end on this. I want to talk about your relationship with your husband, like because you had obviously a traumatic experience with your father, like how. Like, did you have, before you met your husband, did you go through relationships maybe looking for the wrong type of men, or like, to me, like, kind of describe to me and our potential listeners, like maybe some advice for people that have had, traumatic experiences with their father or issues with their father, and like how you may have, grown from, different relationships and, maybe seeking out that vibration within those people that I'm trying to say, that you had that residue from your father left over.
It's funny you asked that because I was speaking about that today with my daughter. We were talking and we talking about this same thing. Like, I had a problem where I was looking for a father figure and looking for attention. I wanted somebody to show me attention. Like, I needed to see you show me attention all the time, because I was lacking it. I was lacking that male, like, even to this day, like I was telling my daughter that I don't have a older male that I could go to and talk to and learn from and you just feel safe with. So I was always looking for that, and I ended up finding the wrong people. Now, my relationship that I have now, I'm learning a lot about myself that it's helping me go within and not really search for something outside, not really search for all the attention or all of those things that are not really necessary. So I'm actually learning from being with him about myself. Like, I'm learning a lot. I would never have put a pen to paper if I was with somebody else, because I'm learning from him. I understand now that relationships are you learn. It's not about finding somebody that's gonna adore you or hug you all the time when you want to be hugged or anything like that. I'm getting it now. Like, I understand now. But I did my past relationships. I was searching for I don't know what, like to fill a gap.
Yeah. And what did that result in? I'm trying to say, like, give me an example of what that resulted in, like what was like your first major relationship, growing up as a, like a 20-year-old or maybe even a teenager. What was that like?
Well, first relationship, I actually met somebody that was older than me, about 10 years older than me. And this person showed interest in me, and I was young. I was 16.
Mm-hmm.
And I probably shouldn't have been with this person, but this person was showing caring towards me at a time when I was getting a lot of problems at home, and I ended up getting kicked out of the house, and this person was there for me. Mm-hmm. And he was older, so I took him as a father figure. And it turned out that he is actually my daughter's father.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not together with him now, but at the time, I understand that I went in his direction because I needed guidance, and I was an innocent teenager, like very, very innocent, didn't know, because I was sheltered and all that stuff. So it's like, when I met him, he actually helped me. He helped set me up, and I was pregnant, and then I had my daughter and all that. So he was like a father figure to me in those early days. And now I understand why I went in that direction, because I was lacking that. Like, my real father kicked me out of the house and was like treating me bad and kicked me out of the house. And then this man took me in, basically, and helped get me through and took care of my daughter well and stuff like that. So I understand now.
Gotcha. But your first major relationship, like after you got kicked out when you were 16, is that the guy you're with now, or that was a different guy, right?
No, that was him.
That was him? Oh, and
yeah,
he's been with you ever since?
No, we're not together. We're not together now.
Oh, okay, gotcha. But let me ask you, like, was that relationship? Would you say that it was like suboptimal? I'm trying to say, because you were seeking something that you didn't get at home. You're trying to say?
Yes, I think it was. Like, I think it happened at that time for a reason.
Yep.
And he was more like a big brother or a father figure to me, though. And at the time, I didn't understand relationships well. So I took it as, okay, this is my relationship. But honestly, he was more like a big brother or a father figure. Gotcha. Which I needed at the time, because my father, like, totally didn't want nothing to do with me.
No, I get you. I'm just like, I just want to make sure that it's strange, but like, just my empathy. Like, I want to, did you get hurt? Did you get yourself in some narcissistic relationship that didn't happen?
Did I?
Yeah. Did you get yourself into some, like, I asked you earlier about your father, or did you have any narcissists in your family? And you didn't, I'm not sure I don't think you said yes, but like, for me, listening.
I was thinking about him, and I was thinking he probably is narcissist. My dad.
I would have to say so. I mean, I'd have to say so. That's a pretty prime example. Just how could you I couldn't do that. I couldn't beat my daughter, and then go and
I know.
almost like brag to my I couldn't do that. No, absolutely not. So hell no. He definitely.
I know.
And it's hard. It's hard for us as having a mother or father and looking and having to put a label on them that's in a negative light in I'm trying to say in a public arena. I'm trying to say, but the thing is, like, in order for us to grow, we have to I know I had to acknowledge my pain. I'm trying to say. Because
yes.
and not to say that not that I paint them as being monsters. I understand that again they're products of their environment, and we all are. But some people just don't. Some people just didn't take the time to develop that strength. I'm trying to say we're not all going to be Frederick Douglasses and all the black heroes that we the Malcolm X's and all the black heroes that overcame. I'm trying to say not everybody has that strength. Being realistic about it. I'm trying to say. So, our parents are affected by hardships, and unfortunately they can begin to slide into that down that narcissistic scale, So my whole thing is you didn't repeat that though, did you?
I made sure I didn't repeat that.
All right, good.
That is not me.
Good.
No, I didn't repeat it. Like, I make sure with my daughter.
Yeah.
I try my best. I'm not the perfect mom, but I try my best to dialogue. We have dialogue. I taught her what I knew at the time, and we still talk, like, have good, deep conversations now. I try my best. Like, I tried not to be angry.
Yes.
And negative about my life. I basically had to tell her when she got to a certain age. It was embarrassing, but I had to tell her some of the things that I went through. Mm-hmm. And that was hard for me because it makes you feel small to your child. But I had to tell her, like, so that she could understand my actions. Mm-hmm. Like the whole empath thing and all that, I had to explain to her because one time we went to the mall and she was younger and I had a panic attack in the mall and we had to leave and she was upset. She's like, why do you have to leave? How come you don't like malls? Mm-hmm. My friends' parents mom likes going to the mall, and I'm like, I just don't like malls unless I have to go and get something quickly and leave. But she didn't understand when she was younger, but she understands me now. Mm-hmm. So, no, I didn't repeat it.
That's good.
No way.
Because one of the things that I think what happens is, I'm glad this didn't happen to you, but from what I'm hearing, it probably did happen to you, maybe your sister, and maybe perhaps your brother to a degree. Is that our self-esteems can begin to be affected. Some people's self-esteems can be affected when they have traumatic experiences with their parents. You know what I'm trying to say? And when you have a low self-esteem, sometimes you can choose people that are not right for you. But it seems like you managed to keep yourself grounded, and you didn't kind of like sink into a level of fear and despair.
No, there's been times where I felt really low, but I know that it's just a time and it's going to change. Like I pull myself out of it. I've always been a quiet person, and I don't really have too many people around me or too many friends. I keep a lot to myself, and I think that kind of helped. It helped me, like, I don't know.
You had time for introspection.
Yeah.
First of all, what did you say? Because you said you did what?
No, I was just saying that I try my best to keep myself level as best as I can, and I'm a very private and quiet person, and I think that's probably what saved me. Yeah,
and what I was saying is I think what it is that you allowed time for introspection.
Oh,
you know what I'm trying to say? That's exactly one of the keys. I'm creating a series called Keys to Alchemy, and it's a 5-step process. It's the first process is knowledge, then action, then pain, and then introspection and wisdom. So like you had time to go inward and deal with your pain. However you dealt with it, like you said, music and all kind of whatever it was, reading and creating a world for yourself that was safe. You know what I'm trying to say? Mm-hmm. like I don't know the story of your sister. You know what I'm trying to say? Obviously, she seemed to have it, maybe, I don't know. It's not like, we want to be, compare trauma, but like she probably had it pretty rough. I'm not sure. Like, do you know anything about her relationships? Did she get involved in bad relationships or bad or negative, a negative, like, circle of people? You know what I'm trying to say? Like,
I think she went through her share of pain in relationships, and we've had conversations where I can see that she's still she's still suffering from what she went through as a child. And when I hear her talk, it really upsets me because I was there. Like, I had front row seats to it, so it bothers me that she was bothered. And I do have a little bit of anger towards my dad for putting her through that.
Mm-hmm.
To this day. I don't hate him, but I am angry at him for upsetting her life, and because we would have been closer as siblings if things were better, but it's not like that. So
let me ask you, what do you think, like, what is forgiveness to you? I'm trying to say, like, what if you had to describe what forgiveness is? I'm not sure if you have forgiven your father, but if you had to describe what forgiveness is to you, what would you say it is? I'm trying to say.
I think it's more understanding. I've come to an understanding now that I'm older, and I know what it was like for him at the time that he grew up, and I just understand him more, and I understand where his pain and anger came from. So I decided to just leave it, like sorry, just leave it be. And let him be, because he's living a world that he chose, and he's dealing with he's dealing with the residuals of what he did. There's nothing I can do about it. All I can do is step forward in my life and make things different.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you reap what you sow, right? As they say.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about this today about forgiveness and what I think it is. And for me, what I think forgiveness is like, just like understanding that God is your source of love. You know what I'm trying to say? It's your source of, of wisdom, meaning that everything, and that's what's inside you. So everything that you need to feel good is already inside you if you'll seek it. And when you know that, and when you found that, it's gonna take a lot of soul searching. When you find that, you can understand that it makes it easier to be able to, in an emotional sense, let people go. You know what I'm trying to say? Let people, on an emotional sense. It doesn't mean you don't have to see them or ever talk to them again, but like on an emotional sense, let them go, and let them be able to work out whatever they have to work out, if they ever work it out. You know what I'm trying to say? But again, if we're all one, right, then by me working my pain out, and I've gone through it, because obviously you put it on me, right, to go through, right? Yeah. So it's obviously dealt with. You know what I'm trying to say? And understanding that I have the power within me to create the world, that to be the change that I wish to create in the world.
I love that. And I see it. It's already happening, because when I look at my daughter, she's taken it even further. Like, she has an understanding that I'm wondering, where did that come from? Like, like,
absolutely, yeah.
She's amazing in herself there. Like, so I see that because of what I took and I dealt with, and I taught whatever I taught her. Now she's moving forward with it, and it's good. It's gone. That pain is going to be gone anyway. So
gorgeous. That's beautiful. I think we're going to end it on there, sis. And I want to thank you for taking the time out of your day to talk to us. And I don't know, any last words or anything that you want to kind of say here as we head out?
Well, thank you. You are the first person to contact me on this journey with this book. Basically, the book is not a big book. It's just a small little pocket book of just ideas, like daily tips for other people that are feeling the same way and just want a little help along the way with like just dealing with things on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm grateful for you contacting me, and this was an amazing talk.
Oh, thank you. My pleasure. Where can people contact you, Sis? Or, you have an email or a website, or how can people contact you currently?
Well, for my email, like I'm using, the email that I'm using now is colorfulempath@gmail.com.
All right.
Now, until I get myself situated.
Not a problem. Not a problem. Again, I'm going to recommend you joining our Facebook group so you can post about it when the book is ready. But so kind of want to repeat it for our listeners. Colorfulempath@gmail.com, right?
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much. It's been a blessing.
And thank you.
You're welcome. Peace.